everyone. Today we got to play Progress, an evolution of technology.
Yes.
So this game is basically a development of different technologies through card playing, as well as a little bit, I guess, of resource management, kind of, sort of card management, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say card. It's
card
definitely
management.
There's really no resources to speak of in this.
Yeah. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, guys, if you want to see
And the
more.
notification bell.
Yeah, if there's some other games that you'd like to see us review, don't forget to comment down below. So let's jump into this quality of pieces. So I think for quality of pieces, this is all pretty standard fare. You do get inlaid boards.
Yes. Well, yes and no. There's no underlying line.
No.
It's just a hole.
But that works. It still
works.
keeps things in place.
As long as you don't move it to the edge of your table or something, because then you'll see cubes just fall to their death.
Then that's your fault. But then
there's no texture on the cards; they're completely smooth.
Yeah, cardboard's basic cardboard. They're just wooden cubes that you've got for your different player color pieces. Is there anything fantastic about this game? Absolutely not. Is it serviceable? Yes.
Yeah.
I would probably give this a 6.5. What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably where I'm at. The cards will definitely want to be sleeved. You'll want to sleeve them.
Yes, because you shuffle them a lot.
As a matter of fact, one of the actions you can take on your turn is to shuffle the deck and redraw. So, given that, you're going to be doing it more than you would typically do in a card game.
Yeah. So let's move on to theme. I like the theme, the building of technologies. Era 1 starts with basic agriculture and eventually you go all the way up to combustion and different things like that. So I thought that was very interesting. I thought the art was good for it. I thought the pictures were relevant to the technology, and it felt like a technology game with trying to build one before another, and so I thought that was a really good.
Yeah. I thought it's a neat theme to it. It's neat that you've got this. It's almost a more advanced Seven Wonders dependency on the cards, where you have this card can be built. You can either pay the cost of it or build it based upon a prerequisite cost.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good implementation of a mechanic into the theme.
Yeah, I thought so as well. As far as score, though, what would you give it as a score?
Probably a 7 is where I'm at on this one. I mean, it's carried through obviously with the mechanics. I like the art, except for some of the pictures of the people. They did a much nicer job on the technology than they did on the promo or the expansion that was added, as far as for giving you kind of a starter person. But the technology cards look fine. I like them a lot, and yeah, I think in general there's not a lot of art to the game apart from the cards. Apart from that, it's just iconography basically.
So for me, I'm actually going to go a little bit higher. I think I'm going to give it a 7.75. I don't think it's quite at an 8, but I do think it's really good. I think it feels like technology. So there's something about it that just kind of resonates overall. So I thought the theme was well played. So let's move on to Rulebook. You quickly taught this game.
Yeah, the rulebook
and the cheat sheet was really good.
The Rulebook is only 8 pages long, and the last page is all about the expansion, and this next to last page is pretty much the solo play. There's a little bit about final scoring on that page. But all in all, it's a straightforward read. It's not the most exciting rulebook by any means. Not that any rulebook is super exciting. It's not like you sit down like, ooh, this is a thriller. But this one, it's kind of dry. But it's only 7 pages long. So I'll give it an 8. It does what it's supposed to do. There was no confusion because the game is just that simplistic. There's just no way to be confused.
Yeah, I thought that the cheat sheet was perfect. It's exactly what you needed. You didn't understand what you're supposed to do in a round, but all the actions you could do. Once you understood the rules, this is all you needed.
And then there's the flow chart, which they also provided, which is sort of like a cheat sheet. I didn't really need it either. It was kind of useful just to see, like a couple times I referenced it to see if I was going to build a card, what it was going to net me in the future. That's the only purpose it really had. I mean, all the cards basically said what their dependencies were, so you didn't really need this other than you can say, oh, if I want to build this, I could potentially open up 3 more places down down the road as far as technologies. If I, that's the only reason this is actually even needed, and it takes up a huge amount of table space. There's one per player, 5 player up to 5 player. So this could take up a lot of space. This game is definitely a table hog. I got I'll pop it onto the screen so you can see it better, but over here, I left my tableau sitting out. It takes up at least a quarter of the table. You did a side table for yours, and we were only playing 3 players. And, I have it arranged at optimal, basically, what you can do.
Dad
Your
was
dad was sprawling everywhere. He took like the 2/3 of the table because he didn't optimize how his arrangement was.
But, that's it doesn't really tell you how to do it. You just got to know what cards you have. So being able to see them. So I'm fine with, what you give it, an 8 for rules?
Yeah, the rules are, I think, an 8.
I'm fine with that. Like I said, the cheat sheet was really good, which is what I care about when I talk about rules. So moving on to gameplay.
Gameplay of this is super simple. You have a hand size of, in most cases, 5 cards. It varies depending on player count and player turn order. Cards are different technologies, and you have different ages where it advances from different periods of time. So at the beginning, you get basic things like the wheel, mining, pottery, philosophy, early history type technologies that are being developed. They have a cost associated with them at the bottom. In this case, for mining, it's 5 years. Or you can have the work of Bronze Works, the technology of Bronze Works, already in your play area. If you have that, similar to Seven Wonders, you can play it for free. You don't have to pay a cost. You get a benefit based upon what's over here on the left side in the ovals. In this case, it refers to an icon on this track, and this is your skill track. You have 7 skills that can improve during the game, all of which involve drawing or holding cards, or playing cards. The first one is your hand size. In this case, it starts at 5. It can increase all the way up to 8, and it lets you hold more cards, obviously. Second is drawing cards. Here, it starts at 3, so when you take a draw action, you can draw 3 cards into your hand. Draw actions end your turn, so if you take it as your first action, you won't have any more actions. The third one down is a shuffle draw. So shuffle draw does not end your turn, but you basically, if there's a discard pile in play, you would take the discard pile, put it back into the draw pile, shuffle the deck, and then draw a card. So this is why we were saying previously that you're going to shuffle this deck a lot. The fourth one down is a quick draw. So quick draw means you draw 1 from either the draw pile or discard pile, and then or in this case it's 1, but it can increment all the way up to 5. And you discard what is at the bottom. In this case it's 0. That can increase, so you'll draw 5 and discard 1 at the maximum. So you're going to ultimately get more cards. Neither the draw or quick draw nor the shuffle will end your turn. So these are ways to get cards during your play turn. The next one is the number of actions you get. So right now you start the game with 2 actions, but you can increment that up to 5 actions on your turn. The next 2 go hand in hand. There's one of the actions you can play, which is research. If you do a research, you are going to put a card into play, but you're going to put black cubes on this card to basically be a time delay. So you're putting the card in layaway, if you will, where you'll remove a cube each turn until it's finally empty, at which point it goes into play. Now, while it's in layaway, if you will, you can still use the card as a prerequisite for other cards. So it's a good way of getting cards down that you don't necessarily have the resources to pay for, but that you need in order to trigger other cards that you have in your hand to play. So at the beginning of the game, you can hold 1 card in this research status. You can increment that all the way up to 4. There's also indicator of how many cubes you have to put on the card, which is the beginning of the game starts at 4, and you can reduce that down to 2. So that will hasten the speed at which you get the card into play. That is the basics of it. Now, there's also some of these icons that trigger based upon, are going to show indicators for this scoreboard over here, which has crown, castle, and helmet. If it has one of those icons, you get to move up that chart. Whoever's furthest up the chart on a multiplayer game will get additional victory points based upon their rank. So if I were ahead of somebody on this track, I would get, if I was first, I'd get 10 points, second 6, third 3, and first 1. So it's going to be based upon you versus your competitors. This is the solo play game. I have not played this, but I'm assuming you have to reach a certain score in order to win. The other thing, the icons you'll see on these cards are the various knowledge tokens. So the knowledge tokens are what you use in a conjunction with any cost to pay for cards. So this one is cost 3 gears. If I had 3 gear tokens, I could flip them over, and that would pay the cost of the card. Otherwise, if I don't have the 3 gear tokens, the only other way to pay the cost of the card is on the cards at the bottom left corner. They have a mind value. So I can discard a card and basically pay that 1 towards the card cost. So if I wanted to play a card that costs 3 gears, I could discard a 1 and a 2 value card, and that would pay the cost of the card, and I could put it into play. So you're either discarding cards to play cards, or you're using these tokens that you've acquired by playing other cards. So you're going to want to try to accumulate as many of these as you can, because you don't have to exhaust and throw away cards, which then requires you to either use one of these quick draw actions or to draw it into your turn. That is really all there is to the gameplay, and you're going to keep building your tableau out there's 3 different types of cards. There are gear cards, which are manufacturing type cards. There are these column cards, which are your philosophy and your arts type cards. And then there are science cards, which are like this one starts as alphabet, but they get more advanced. And once you get into the modern times, it's more like, physics, electronics, and all kinds of technology from a science perspective. So that's all there really is to the game.
I do think this is a bit of a one-trick pony. I think it has one mechanism, and you do the mechanism. The mechanism's fine. I think for a starter game to teach maybe some more of the advanced games that has this mechanism is absolutely fine. Would I call this a beginner game? I don't think so. Is it a light to medium game? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not that heavy, and it's a pure tech tree. If you enjoy tech tree games and you don't mind that there's not anything to do with that tech tree once you built it, or that there's no other, no other meat to the game, it's just the tech tree, this game's fine. It plays fine. We enjoy building things. We enjoy engine building. This didn't really have an engine. It just felt like it was just the parts, and you put them in order, and it never got
so
to
if you're
use
trying to teach this mechanic, this is a good game to be able to teach that mechanic too. And I still actually enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than you did. I think Dad enjoyed it more than you did. So it was pretty basic. So there's a time and a place for this game. Like, I didn't want anything too complicated tonight, so I'm actually glad this was like perfect level for me today. So yeah, for me, I'm going to give this probably a 7. I thought it was pretty good. Like, I was okay with it. What about you?
I'm more in the 6 range. I just don't think there's enough to it. Now, I do give kudos to it because it did include expansions in it. They included, basically, the game itself only plays 3 eras. They added on a 4th era that was put into the box as an expansion, which takes you through modern times. And they talked in the rule book about adding on additional expansions that they haven't put into this box yet. I don't know, given the fact that I don't remember what year this came out. We don't have Rob here to do the statistics with us. But it's been out for a while, and I don't think any other expansions came out for it. I'd have to check and see. But they talked in the rule book about other expansions, like adding on a government and military developments, and also adding in a through future technology.
See, that would have been really cool.
But I felt like the game kind of stalled out towards the end. It felt like it was like the first 3 eras were what it's designed for, and that's the sweet spot. The fourth era kind of felt like, okay, now it's overstayed its welcome.
I almost wish you could do something like after each era with the technology you have, being able to do something different. I don't know.
Yeah. The other 2 expansions they included in the box, which was nice, is they have a milestone where you can use your resources to contribute to basically a joint project with everyone. We never really used it. I used it towards the end, but we never got it built fully to the point where I got any advantage from it. The other one is a starting card that determines turn order at the beginning of the game, but also gives you kind of a goal, a person that you are, and gives you a perk for being that person. That was kind of useful a few times, but we played with everything. And it felt like it was a little longer than it should have been. But I think part of that was because some of the players were slow.
Yeah, Randy.
I wasn't talking about me or you, so there was only one other person at the table. And it was also, I think, that we didn't want to move the era a few times because of the fact, even though we were running out of cards to play, it slowed down because we didn't want to change the era because we had cards still in the works, which slowed the game.
Yeah, well, the thing is I realized after I stalled it 2 rounds, because that's really, it was up to me stalling that one time. I didn't have to stall it. I had built the things I needed to build with those cards, so if they would have net out, like if they hadn't been developed, I would have been okay. Like, I would have lost those points, but I still would have, it wouldn't affect my build, and I maybe should have moved on. But, good to know. Overall, I enjoyed it. I had a fun night. We hope you guys did too. Like I said, come join us again and give us some ideas. What do you want to play next?
And I have to compliment you on your choice of shirt tonight. Both of us got the Allison chains going. I appreciate that.
It's more of like I need to do laundry, so I stole your shirt.
Okay, well, either way, good choice of clothing.
All right, thank you guys.
All right,
bye.